where you want tips or things not to do. I've got a lot of those. Because even though I listened a lot to you guys, I still made a lot of the same mistakes you said not to. So it's like, I hope that I can reiterate some of those. But I originally started it as actually starting your coaching course. I had an idea, did the coaching course, and I went through the whole process of choosing a niche, researching the niche. I wrote out a whole 3 pages of ideas of areas that I might want to focus in, and then basically obviously narrowed it down. And what I ended up doing was, my mom is a home-based travel agent, and so she was struggling with technology and the basics of technology, and there were thousands of travel agents just like her that were struggling with the same thing. It wasn't so much they didn't know how to book travel, it was that everything has moved online and they didn't even know the basics of how to filter their emails or how to create a little flyer or anything. And so that's kind of where the idea came from. And then I kind of tested it out through your guys' whole process, and then I basically researched what were people searching on, and that's where the name came from. It was purely based on keyword results, because most people searched for how-to or training when it came to computer or technology. And so I actually own how-to internet training, how-to computer training, and a couple of other ones. But the main one that I came up with was how-to trainer.
Wow, cool.
Because I thought it could kind of be a brand that could be used for multiple different things. And the part I spent way too much time on, which we'll talk about later, I guess, is way too much time on trying to get the logo and all the other things out that didn't even matter. And so that's kind of where I got started. Yeah. And the main demographic was pretty much, and it still is, although it's merged and changed a lot, is basically kind of the baby boomer market, or even a little bit younger, those that are familiar or have to use technology, but those that aren't very confident or secure with having to use it. So it's the small or home-based business, or even just possibly people that are just at home that want to learn, and it's taking all those basic things like Google and Gmail and Google Docs and just kind of breaking down what those are, what even Twitter is, before you even try to explain how the strategies to use Twitter, because most of them think that Twitter is just like a Bert tweeting. They don't understand that. So it's been a little bit of a struggle to kind of make sure that it's the correct market, and it took a while for that. But yeah, that's kind of the main content, and it's primarily online training, like training videos in Camtasia and things like that.
Well, it certainly sounds like you've done your research and done your time to find out what the market is and what their pain is. And I mean, it sounds like a great niche to me, because clearly, I mean, business people are always a great niche to go after, because they usually stand to make money from what it is that you have to teach. And so if you're teaching them to work with technology better, it saves them time. Their time is worth money. Hence, you're putting money in their pocket in the end. And that's the kind of offer that is always easier to sell, when it's like, look, you buy my thing and I'll put a lot more money back into your pocket, because look, this is what you're going to save in your time in the end. And I mean, clearly these days businesses, they have to deal with technology. It's just it's just a fact. And so there's an urgent pain to understand the technology and know how to use it. And it's a headache if you don't, and you're faced with having to use it. So I really like the sounds of that niche. It's very cool. So you mentioned that it was a little bit of struggle to get it down just right, and that's something that a lot of people, they hit up against the choosing of their niche. And we're actually going to be talking about this in the next couple episodes more of the podcast. You already told us a bit about how you went about choosing that niche, but what were maybe a couple of the obstacles you ran into when it came to narrowing it down right, or redefining it, or are there some insights you can give us there as to how you arrived at the niche that worked best for you and your market?
Yeah, for sure. I guess the hardest part for me is the way that I think is always on a large scale. So one of the biggest struggle that I had was actually accepting and being okay to niche down. It was always a hard thing for me to not want to go, well, I want to have something that I can market to everyone, under the sun. And that's still a struggle. I still have to constantly force myself to continue to niche down and really think through, does this market actually need it? And I think the biggest thing for me was I spent too much time originally trying to pick the perfect niche rather than just trying the niche and then just kind of seeing if it works, doing some tests, and then if it works, then go forward. If it doesn't, then you just try another one.
Okay, well, I want to stop you right there, because you just shared the key to the whole internet marketing kingdom right there. So anybody listening, if you need to, rewind about 20 seconds and listen to what Colin just said. So anyway, good
I'm
thought
gonna
there.
repeat it. You gotta just go for one, because I spent months researching and and figuring out and doing all this back end stuff to try to create an empire. And when I actually launched the thing, initially it was the travel market, and as everyone knows, the travel market's kind of dropped out, and so I had to readjust it anyways. And the second time, you just go for it. It's not so much worrying about exactly what they're going to need, because you find that out as you go throughout it.
Yeah, they'll tell you most of the time.
So I think it is a big deal to pick a niche, but honestly, I think as long as you go and do it, as long as you get started, whether it's a niche that's going to make a lot of money or not, or if it's just a niche that you're passionate about, just completing those steps and going through the process is such an experience and a learning experience that the next time that you go to the next one, you're not going to make those same mistakes again. And who knows, maybe the first one is going to totally work and people are going to connect with it, and and then you can run with it and add in all the other stuff as they come. But it really is just try one. Do your research, go down, make sure there's a market there, but that can be done really quickly. But one thing I totally regret is that I didn't just start. Like these days, if I can't start it in 2 weeks, then it's probably not a good enough idea for me to go forward with. And if I don't know in a month or two what's going to happen with it, then I'm probably not going to go forward with it.
And see, that's why it's important just to act, because, I mean, clearly you've gotten faster at it. I mean, like you said, now it's like, look, if I can't do it in a few weeks or no in a couple months, and you get to that point. And yeah, the first time it might take a few months or more, but that's why, yeah, it's important to get started, because you get faster, and fast action is in the end what ends up making you money in this business. So you're a wise man, Colin Slade. That's good stuff.
A lot of failures and a lot of frustrations through the process. So I just want other people not have to go through that.
Nice.
Well, speaking of that, what fears have you faced along the way, and even mistakes that you made that you can tell us about, and how you overcame them, so we can help people that are just getting started now?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of fears. Just about every fear that you guys have covered in your podcast, and that's actually one of the episodes that my mom told me to listen to. And if you guys haven't, if you get the first two seasons, you'll see a lot of things when Jay and Sterling were just starting out that can really help you when you're just starting out, because even me now listening back and seeing that they didn't start as the #1 internet business and marketing podcast. They started as the first episode, not knowing if their mom was going to listen at the time, if you listen back through it, which is kind of cool. So my mom would listen to those about the fears and tell me to listen to them. And I think that the biggest thing for me was the fear of failure was huge. It's kind of like the fear of not asking a girl out. You don't want her to say no, so you don't even try.
Good analogy.
Like the fear of not, it was terrifying. I mean, taking that first step to kind of quit my job, not having a plan, even starting the first business. Don't have the mentality that if this one doesn't work, that's it. That's your only try.
Yeah, that's the kiss of death. I mean, the way this works, definitely, like you're saying, is you just keep going until it hits. The Internet Business Mastery for us wasn't our first business by any means. We had many to get there. So, and some of them worked really well. Some make just a little bit, and you just keep going.
And I think I think that's the key, is that you got to just keep going. And like for me, some of the biggest mistakes I made, again, like I said, I spent months trying to plan a major infrastructure. I had a membership site ready, built from scratch. I had, all the different things planned out, and the marketing strategy and the business plan and cards and, all kind of DVD.